All right, predicting the narcissist behavior, part 2. So I wanted to ask the question, can we predict the behavior of these people so it doesn't mess us up so bad when we have to interact with them? And, this pertains to someone who is in contact with the narcissist, family member, someone that you're going to be around. If you're no contact, that's great. And I hope you're doing the work to build yourself back up because, that's what we're all striving for. So, the two questions is really, can you predict the behavior of these people? And then also, how do you do it? And it's my feeling that you absolutely can. And from what I've observed, the way you do it is through observation. There's two ways. So it's observation and studying the behavior patterns. You have to become familiar with the behavior patterns that they're exhibiting. And you do this through observation. And if you begin to, study this narcissistic behavior, this personality type, you'll get caught on to certain phrases and terms and you become more familiar with it. So, a lot of this is obviously you doing your research and understanding, becoming familiar with the terms and the different behaviors that they're doing. And then you got to observe the narcissist that you're around. So in my situation, I'm living in close proximity to my narcissistic mother, and she's in collapse. So she's desperately seeking supply as much as possible, and my family and I are the main supply for her. And she staged a big, I'm seeing the pattern emerging here. And every year she has someone that comes and visits her. And it's her opportunity, to get supply from them and also stage some kind of poor me or some kind of your grandchildren are so beautiful, and it's either praise or victimhood. So those are her two main things. And so right now, her thing is praise. So she staged this whole event for several of her friends to show up and praise her. And she requested our attendance. It's the first time we ever received an invitation from her. And anytime she's ever given us an actual note saying, will you come over? And so she wanted to show us off to her friends to receive the praise. And so my wife and I, no, we're not having it. So we hatched a plan, and I talked about this in my previous video, that we hatched a plan, and, we won 3 nights on the coast, and hey, we're here now. So we made it, so it must be working. But anyway, so we hatched this plan, and we planned our escape. But we had to give a little. We couldn't just cut. You can't just cut from these people, because she was staging it to where we either just 100% cut, and then she would have a freak out and like a meltdown, and she'd get a bunch of energy and supply from that, cause a bunch of drama, or we had to stay and just deal with her and her friends and just suck it up, which have been miserable. So we want to limit our exposure as much as possible, especially to the grandchildren. So we hatched a plan. We're going to the coast, but there was one hiccup, and this is her pattern. It's the flying monkeys, and you all know about the flying monkeys. So it's the flying monkeys with the poison arrow. So this happened last year when my aunt and uncle came and visited, and she sent them over to go, they want to see the kids, they want to say hi, and it just turns into them, hating on us, taking pictures of the kids, and just throwing a ton of bad negative energy our way, and trying to make us feel bad. And last year it blindsided us. We didn't know it was coming. We weren't as tuned in. But this year we're ready for it. So the request this year was her closest friend, who's known me since I was a little baby, wants to come see the kids and wants to come over to our little cottage that we live in. So we agreed. We figured, okay, um, we figured, yeah, we got to give a little. So we've developed this this kind of this phrase. It's like, you got to feed the monster. Now she's a monster, and we think of it as this monster. If you don't feed it, it'll come and just eat you. If you overfeed it, it'll just puke it all up and eat you. It'll just come and eat you some more. But if you just feed it a little bit, it's happy. So now she's the monster that we have to feed just a little bit. So this lady comes over, man, and of course, she wants to come over right at dinner time when I'm just getting off of work, and the kids are raging and they got to get fed because it's always on their terms. And so she comes over, and it's funny because my wife is she speaks the truth, and she's a seer. So what is it? Truth speaker, seer? Anyway, she's naturally that way. So she doesn't get under these people's spell. This lady showed up, man, and she's a narc, and boom, I got under her narcissistic spell immediately. And I had to fall in line to worship her and her how amazing her old woman boomer art is. And she's the greatest artist, and she makes so much money, and she's so successful, and we all need to worship her and how great she is. So it was maybe, I don't know, a half hour of that. And then she's like fawning over the baby. And, the 6-year-old, she's kind of like pretending like she likes kids. But that wasn't the case. And so we're sitting out on our patio. My wife's in the kitchen doing the dinner. And we're talking. And so my wife comes out to say hi. And our theory is that the narcissist is now going after my wife. Because she tried going after me for the last year. And it kind of just didn't get anywhere. So she's turned her attention on my wife. And so my wife, hi, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Yeah, the lady looks at her and immediately turns away. Obviously, super negative. And she's in our home. At least be polite. So the poison arrow. And I don't know if they hatched this plan, the narcissists together, of like, hey, let's just like be as mean as possible to this nice lady that's, raising your grandchildren. But that's what happened. And my wife just observed the whole situation. So I'm under the spell immediately. I'm thinking, yeah, I got it all together. I got it all figured out. But no, man, like these narcissists, they are so slick. And if you've had a lifetime of being under the abuse and the spell, it's like, dude, she just like, I don't know. It just, because I was optimistic, like, oh, this lady, maybe she'll be nice. But my wife was like, don't trust these people. So, of course, immediately, boom, I'm under the spell. And we got to do the praise and the worship of how great she is and how amazing her art is. Meanwhile, in the house is all my art. Like, I do a bunch of copper sculpture and patina work and really interesting, unique art. And typically artists, when they're around one another, they're like interested and supportive of one another's art. You'll find that with artists and musicians who are actually into what they do, is they enjoy other people's art. And when you go into someone's home and there's unique art all over the walls, you're instantly intrigued. And she's sitting there, she's a sculptor, and she does all this different dyeing and fabrics, and and I was interested in what she was doing, so I said, yeah, check out these pieces that I've done. And she looks up and she's just like, oh, okay, that's unique. And then boom, back to her own program. And my wife is just observing this the whole time. And so then I'm under the spell, and she's so wonderful. Then she starts trying to extract information out of me. How much money do you make? What's your work situation? When are you guys going to move out? That was another theme too. And, in the end, because some people called it out. When I did the first video predicting narcissist behavior, yeah, man, they were like, don't trust this lady. You want to know how it worked out? Yeah. Flying monkeys. I call them covert flying monkeys with poison arrows. That's exactly what it was, man. And they came in strong, and I got hooked instantly. And, coughed up the info. I mean, who cares in the end? Yeah, I'm working, I make money. Okay, yeah, BFD. And when we're going to move out, yeah, we're working hard on it. So we didn't get him much, but she did bring that negative energy at my wife. But what's different about it this time is we're prepared for it, you know? And that's the key here is we're observant, and we've been studying the behavior, and we're familiar with the same old game, because they just run the same game. Like this old lady narcissist, she's just running the same game, just the same as my mom runs, just the same as all of them. And ideally, yeah, you have you have a seer, truth speaker wife that can just sit there while you're under the spell and tell you everything that happened. But you know, it does take work, and you do have to be on guard because these people are slick. But you know, I'm putting in the work for you and trying to, you know, just be open and transparent, because the more we learn, and you know, we do these case studies where it's literally in real time. Like this was just yesterday. So I think we can predict these people's behavior. We just have to be observant and just try something new here, because the fact is you're going to always run into these people throughout your life. Even if you're no contact with your original, you know, abuser, they're going to come in and out of your life. And you know, it's like I learned from this. I learned that maybe I'm not as strong as I thought I was. I mean, obviously I got hooked by this lady immediately, but you know, I was resilient in the fact that I didn't like cough up so much to where it would have been supply. I did keep that in mind. They got a little bit of supply. So we fed the monster. The monster got a little drip feeding. And, you know, we played up our story of we won, you know, three free nights on the coast. And so we played that up, and they bought it. And, you know, in the end, hey, we had to feed the narc just a little bit. But, hey, we're on the coast, and the vibes are great. It's going to be 4th of July. And, you know, they're back in their miserable palace of despair, and they can do their witchcraft. And we're going to be kicking it with the kids on the beach, and I'd say that's a win. So if you have to give a little, so be it. But the key, observation. You got to be so observant, and you got to kind of like, you know, observe when you're not having to interact, because that's when you're not emotionally attached. And that's when I do most of my observing. And then just study the behavior, and the patterns will emerge. And when you start seeing the pattern, you know, because like I'm realizing it's going to be annual when she sends her flying monkeys, because she's in collapse, so she doesn't have people coming around that often. It's a once a year she'll get a visitor, and that's her opportunity to send her, you know, covert flying monkeys with their poisoned arrows. And so for the next round, when this happens next year or whenever, we'll just assume that that's her new tactic, because they'll shift their tactics. And you know, now the tactic is poison arrows at my wife as much as possible, and she'll send the flying monkeys. So we can just expect that. And it's like, I don't know, because this lady's been staying at the house the last couple of days, and I'm thinking, are they just like up at night talking about this? And they're like, okay, it's what we're going to do. We're going to send you over there and just be really mean to Dan's wife. And my wife is the sweetest person ever. She made this like big bowl of vegan, you know, organic chocolate pudding for their miserable potluck with like, and she decorated a cool design with mint leaves and like went out of her way. And she's never done anything to this woman except marry me and support me in my endeavors and give birth to 2 beautiful grandchildren. That's all she's ever done. So it's like, yeah, are they just like sitting in the living room talking about, you know, how they're going to send the poison arrow our way and just try to make us miserable? I don't know. But A lot of you were right. They're like, yeah, this lady, man, she's gonna be a flying monkey, and she was. You know, I was optimistic, and God, man, I can't believe I got hooked. Oh well. As long as you can learn from it, and I feel fine. It's all good. But I think we came out on top in the end. Anyway, so if you're in the situation, you know, you're in the proximity to these people, you can start doing this, and just try to be aware, and you know, observation. Look for those patterns. Get familiar with all these tactics, because once you know, the thing is like maybe the tactics change, but in the end, there's only so many tricks in their bag. And once you just learn a little bit at a time, Don't feel like you got to learn everything all at once. And if you do that, it's easier to take the information in and process it. That's how I learn a lot. Is I'll just start with a little at a time. And so don't feel overwhelmed if you think you got to figure it all out, you know, immediately, because you don't have to. But man, I'm so stoked to be here. So, you know, leave that all in the rearview mirror and just enjoy it out here. Anyway, thanks for watching. I appreciate it, everyone.